Macedonia, a land of rugged mountains and fierce warriors. In this ancient kingdom, in the year 356 BC, a legend was born, Alexander III, son of King Philip II. From his first breath, Alexander was destined for greatness. His father, a powerful ruler, dreamed of conquering the known world. His mother, Olympias, instilled in him a fierce pride and a belief in his own destiny. Even as a boy, Alexander was different. Strong and athletic, he excelled in riding, swordsmanship, and wrestling. But his mind was even sharper than his sword. He devoured the works of Homer, dreaming of heroes and glory. He tamed the wild horse Bucephalus, a feat no other man could manage, proving his courage and his connection to the divine. Alexander's education was entrusted to the greatest mind of the age, the philosopher Aristotle. In the gardens of Mieza, Aristotle taught him philosophy, logic, science, and the art of rhetoric. He learned the importance of knowledge, but also of strategy, diplomacy, and leadership. Alexander absorbed these lessons like a sponge, his mind becoming as sharp as his sword. By the age of 16, Alexander was already a seasoned warrior, leading troops for his father and proving his bravery in battle. The young prince, full of fire and ambition, was impatient to make his mark on the world. Little did he know that his time was coming sooner than he thought, and his name would be etched in history forever. The year was 336 BC. King Philip II of Macedon, Alexander's father, lay dead, assassinated at the height of his power. The throne now belonged to Alexander, a young man barely 20 years old. Many saw this as their chance to break free from Macedonian rule. Rebellions sparked across the land and enemies whispered of the young king's demise, but they underestimated Alexander's resolve. He moved swiftly and decisively, crushing the rebellions with ruthless efficiency. He rallied his father's loyal generals and soldiers to his side, his charisma and confidence inspiring all who followed him. Within a year, he had secured his kingdom and turned his gaze eastward, towards the vast and wealthy Persian Empire. Alexander's ambition knew no bounds. He dreamed of conquering not just Persia, but the entire known world, uniting all people under his rule. It was a bold vision, some might even say crazy, but Alexander was not afraid of a challenge. He had inherited his father's army, but more importantly, he possessed an unyielding spirit and a genius for strategy that would become legend. With his loyal companion Hephaestion by his side and his army at his back, Alexander crossed the Hellespont into Asia Minor, leaving behind his homeland and stepping onto the world stage. The young king was ready to claim his destiny and carve his name into the annals of history. The world would never be the same. The Persian Empire, a sprawling behemoth, stretched from the Aegean Sea to the Indus River. Its ruler, Darius III, scoffed at the young upstart who dared challenge his might. He would soon learn to fear the name of Alexander. Alexander's first clash with the Persians came at the Granicus River. The Persian satraps, confident in their numbers and superior position, waited on the opposite bank. But Alexander, with his characteristic boldness, led a cavalry charge across the river, shattering the Persian lines and securing a decisive victory. City after city fell to Alexander's advancing army. Sardis, Ephesus, Miletus all bowed before the young conqueror. It was at the ancient city of Gordium that Alexander faced a different kind of challenge. The Gordian knot, a complex knot tied to an ox cart, was said to hold the key to untying the destiny of Asia. Many had tried and failed to untie the Gordian knot. But Alexander, with a flash of his sword, sliced through the knot, fulfilling the prophecy in a way no one had expected. It was a testament to his unconventional thinking, his willingness to break with tradition, and his unwavering belief in his own destiny. Word of Alexander's victories reached Darius III, shaking him from his complacency. He gathered a vast army, said to number in the hundreds of thousands, and marched north to confront the Macedonian king. The two armies finally met in 333 BC at a narrow coastal plain near the town of Issus. The Battle of Issus was a clash for the ages. The Persian army, with its chariots and immortal guards, dwarfed the Macedonians in size. But Alexander, a master tactician, used the terrain to his advantage, funneling the Persian forces into a narrow space where their numbers became a liability. Alexander, leading from the front with his customary bravery, smashed through the Persian lines, aiming straight for Darius himself. The Persian king, witnessing the ferocity of the Macedonian attack and the destruction of his own troops, panicked and fled the battlefield. His flight demoralized the remaining Persian soldiers, and the once mighty army crumbled before the Macedonian onslaught. The Battle of Issus was a resounding victory for Alexander, solidifying his reputation as a military genius. He had faced the mightiest empire in the world and emerged victorious. The road to the heart of the Persian Empire now lay open before him. After Issus, city after city opened its gates to Alexander. But the island city of Tyre, a proud and wealthy trading hub, refused to submit. For Alexander, who had never tasted defeat, the defiance of Tyre was a personal affront. He would make them pay, even if it meant conquering the unconquerable. For 7 long months, Alexander laid siege to Tyre. The Tyrians, protected by their island fortress and powerful navy, mocked Alexander from behind their walls. The Macedonians built massive siege towers and battering rams, but the Tyrians repelled every attack. Undeterred, Alexander ordered his engineers to construct a causeway connecting the mainland to the island, effectively turning Tyre into a peninsula. Slowly but surely, the causeway grew, inching closer to the city walls. Finally, with the walls breached and the Tyrian navy crushed, Alexander unleashed his fury upon the city. Tyre, once thought impregnable, fell to Alexander. The city was sacked, its citizens slaughtered or sold into slavery. It was a brutal victory, a reminder that Alexander's mercy had its limits. With Tyre conquered, Alexander continued his march south, his sights set on Egypt, the breadbasket of the Persian Empire. Section 6. Conquering a whole new world. Egypt, with its ancient pyramids and legendary pharaohs, welcomed Alexander as a liberator. They had little love for their Persian overlords and saw in Alexander a chance for a new beginning. Alexander, ever the pragmatist, embraced the Egyptian gods and customs, even journeying deep into the desert to consult the oracle of Amun at Siwa. With Egypt firmly under his control, Alexander turned his attention eastward once more towards the heart of the Persian Empire. In 331 BC, he met Darius III for the final confrontation at Gaugamela near the ruins of Nineveh. The Battle of Gaugamela was another masterpiece of military strategy and tactical brilliance. Despite being outnumbered, Alexander's forces, through a combination of disciplined formations, strategic maneuvers, and sheer courage, outmaneuvered and overwhelmed the Persian army. Darius once again fled the battlefield, leaving his empire and his destiny in Alexander's hands. Alexander pursued Darius relentlessly, but the Persian king was betrayed and murdered by his own men. Standing over the body of his fallen enemy, Alexander felt not triumph, but sadness. He had conquered the Persian Empire, but at what cost? He had achieved his father's dream, but his own ambitions remained unsatisfied. He would not rest until the entire world acknowledged him as its master. Section 7. Alexander's legacy. A world united. Alexander's conquest took him east across the Hindu Kush into India, where he fought fierce battles against Indian kings. He founded cities, established trade routes, and spread Greek language and culture throughout his vast empire. He encouraged his soldiers to take wives from the conquered peoples, believing that only through such unions could true unity be achieved. He was a visionary leader, ahead of his time in many ways. He dreamed of a world without borders, where people of all races and cultures could live together in peace and prosperity. He was a patron of the arts and sciences, surrounding himself with scholars, philosophers, and artists. But Alexander was also a ruthless conqueror, responsible for the deaths of countless thousands. He could be impulsive, even reckless at times, driven by an insatiable thirst for glory and an ego that grew larger with each victory. His temper was legendary, and he was known to lash out violently when angered, even against those closest to him. Section 8. The sun sets on a golden age. In 323 BC, after years of campaigning and countless battles, Alexander the Great, the conqueror of the world, lay dying in Babylon. He was only 32 years old. The cause of his death remains a mystery, but some whisper of poison, others of disease, and still others of exhaustion, his body simply worn out from years of relentless campaigning. As he lay on his deathbed, surrounded by his generals and companions, Alexander was asked to whom he would leave his vast empire. To the strongest, he is said to have whispered, his final words unleashing a power struggle that would tear his empire apart. Alexander's empire, vast and powerful as it was, proved to be short-lived. His generals, ambitious and hungry for power, divided the empire amongst themselves, plunging the land into decades of war and instability. The dream of a united world under the banner of Alexander died with him. Section 9. Alexander's echo through time. Despite his untimely death and the fragmentation of his empire, Alexander's impact on history was profound and enduring. He ushered in the Hellenistic age, a period of cultural exchange and intellectual flourishing that spread Greek ideas and influences across the ancient world. His story, filled with epic battles, daring conquests, and tragic flaws, has captivated the imaginations of people for centuries. He was a complex and contradictory figure, a ruthless conqueror and a visionary leader, a flawed hero whose legacy continues to be debated and discussed to this day. Was he a hero or a villain, a liberator or a tyrant? The answer perhaps lies somewhere in between. Alexander the Great was a product of his time, a man of immense ambition and talent who left an indelible mark on history. His story serves as a reminder of both the greatness and the fragility of human ambition, and the enduring power of legacy.